What's up, Bears fans? Before we jump into today's show, I was looking at some analytics on Bears Now here on our YouTube channel, comparing it to some of our other channels, and the 49ers report has almost tripled us up in new subscribers here in the year of 2023. Now, they had some playoff games to work with, which draw big subscribers, but there's no excuses from here on out. Bears got the number one pick, big offseason ahead, so let's close the gap in new subs in 2023. Want to get more subscribers than Chase Sr. and the 49ers report this year, so help us out. Hit that sub button, make it a competition. If you want more Chicago Bears videos, we're the channel for you. Bears Now is presented by Manscaped. They continue to add to their awesome men's grooming products, including a brand new product I'm going to tell you about later on in the show. So go ahead and check it out, manscaped.com, promo code BEARS20. That link and code in the description and comments of this video. Appreciate Manscaped for sponsoring Chicago Bears Now. Is there a new team in on the number one pick? Could that be the Seattle Seahawks? Well, Pete Carroll, the Seahawks head coach, says that the Seahawks could still draft a quarterback even if they re-sign Geno Smith. Here's what he had to say at the NFL Combine. Quote, "We are totally connected to the quarterbacks that are coming out. This is a really huge opportunity for us. It's a rare opportunity. We've been drafting in the 20s for such a long time. You just don't get the opportunity with these guys when it comes to having options at quarterback early on in the draft. And Seattle does own the number 5 and the number 20 pick. So you kind of put that together and you're like, they've got some ammunition to move up to number 1 if they really do want to, if they really do fall in love with a draft prospect. And hey, if they're really in the mix for a quarterback, just add another team, because there is a lot of teams that need quarterbacks as we continue to discuss. I kind of have I had Seattle in that maybe category because I do think they will re-sign Geno. But to Carroll's point, even if they do, I think they should consider drafting a quarterback. 1, you have multiple first-round picks. 2, is this a one-off for Geno? Is he a long-term solution? Probably not. And to Carroll's point as well, they're not picking this high very often because usually they have been a playoff team, just like they were this year, but they had that extra pick from Denver via the Russell Wilson trade. The Bears blog threw out a trade idea as well when it comes to Chicago and Seattle. The Bears receive both of Seattle's first-round picks, number 5 and 20, their first-round pick next year for the number 1 overall pick. So 3 first-round picks to move down to 5. That's a pretty good offer. Now, one of them's 20 next year. We don't know how Seattle's going to be, so I think you got to consider that. But number 5 could still be kind of a sweet spot depending on who the Bears are interested in drafting in the first round. Now, what does the Jalen Carter arrest warrant do for Carter's status and the Bears' interest in him? It's hard to say. He is back at the Combine today doing interviews with teams and stuff, so I find that interesting. But it's a pretty decent offer on paper. Look back at it with me. Hell, maybe you can get Tyler Lockett thrown into the deal as well. Number 5 and number 20 to Chicago, and a first-round pick next year for the number 1 overall pick. Who do you guys think wins this trade? Type CHI for the Bears or SEA for the Seahawks. Get your votes in the comment section below. Who do you guys think wins this trade idea between the Chicago Bears and the Seattle Seahawks? Let's keep the trade rumors rolling here and start taking a look at a specific player. That is DeAndre Hopkins, we've talked about a few times here on Bears Now. Report from the NFL Combine is that Trey Buzz is still there, and that the Cardinals would like a second-round pick for Hopkins. So you look at the Bears draft picks this year. They obviously don't have their own second, but they have the number 53 pick from Baltimore. They also have the 64th pick, which normally is the last pick in the second round. First pick of the third round, that's basically a second-round pick. And that could be a compromise where Arizona's wanting a top 45, top 50 pick. Well, if you're Chicago, you say, hey, we'll give you 64. We're not going to quite meet your demands, but in a year where you're clearly rebuilding, if you're Arizona, with Kyler Murray likely missing a lot of the season, 64 might be a pretty decent offer for the Cardinals. So I would consider that or that counter proposal if I'm Chicago. And again, I've been a guy who has barked for DeAndre Hopkins this offseason as he's been a popular name connected to trade rumors. Now, would you trade the number 64 pick for DeAndre Hopkins? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll give more thoughts in my overall opinion on what I would do there. But first, Got to talk about Manscaped, and we got a public service announcement. We've been telling you guys about the beard hedger, but guess what? Manscaped has launched another new product. It is the Weed Whacker 2.0, building upon the original Weed Whacker here, nose and ear hair trimmer. They're just continuing to expand their products at Manscaped. Go ahead and tell the world about the brand new Weed Whacker, as the leaders in below-the-waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 is a fantastic product. It offers improved blades and skin-safe technology with no tugging guaranteed. It's never been so painless to clean things up upstairs. And hey, listen, I got to be honest. My wife Hannah a few months ago was like, "You got ear hair," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's there, believe me. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. Weed Whacker is going to get that nice and trimmed up when I get back home. I'm needing to clean things up, and now I can with the Weed Whacker 2.0. Go check it out. All of their awesome products with Manscaped. You can get 20% off plus free shipping when you use code BEARS20. It is manscaped.com, promo code BEARS20 for 20% off. Back to Hopkins. Go trade for him. That's what I say. You've got the cap space to do it. He's still young enough to be an impactful player. I know he's on the wrong side of 30, but he's still very, very good. He gives you instantly a number one receiver for Justin Fields. And when you trade down from the number one pick, which I still think will happen, it'll help you replenish capital. So if you lose the number 64 pick, okay, you can probably get another second or third in a trade down from the number one pick anyway to help replenish for this draft. And, of course, you'll get some future assets as well. I know the last couple of years he hasn't played a complete season for a variety of reasons. Had the suspension this year. Last year missed some time. But when he's fully healthy, he is still a number one receiver. And I think he fits the mold of when Matt Eberflus said the other day of, we need a receiver that can make plays in critical moments. DeAndre Hopkins is a catching machine. He can make contested catches. He can get open. He has the strongest hands in the NFL, in my opinion. That's the guy he's talking about. Like that's the type of player you need when, hey, it's 3rd and 7, 2.5 minutes to go. You got to make a play. Throw it up to DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to make you a play. That is what I would like to see happen. He is the guy I'm looking at closest when it comes to getting Fields that number one option. Could Brandin Cooks be kind of a lesser trade target for Chicago? His trade request is still intact, and he is coming off of a down season. And I will say this just kind of off the rip here, that Brandin Cooks is not really a number one. I mean, last year his numbers were a little bit down with about 700 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Texans had a weird year in the sense that, they were kind of tanking. Davis Mills proved to not be the answer. They had that weird situation where he thought he was going to get traded at the deadline. He did not. He skipped a game. There was all kinds of stuff going on in Houston. Obviously, they fired Lovie Smith. Now, if you look at the numbers for both these two receivers in terms of cap casualty standpoint, if you trade for Cooks, he's $18 million against your books, which not bad. If he can get back to being that 1,000-yard guy, I think that's actually a pretty good number. But Hopkins, it's still under $20 million, 19.5. That's even better because he's a true number one. Cooks, I think, is more of a number two. Like him, Darnell Mooney, kind of the same to me. Similar receivers, similar in terms of what they bring to the table. And Mooney's probably ascending, whereas Hopkins is not necessarily doing so. Or with Cooks not necessarily doing so. And if you look at this depth chart, I think if you get Hopkins, you do get that clear number one. Mooney, Claypool slide down. But if you get Cooks, you kind of have what we've talked about as well, is the 3 number 2 receivers thing, which I don't think is bad. I just don't think it's preferred. I would much rather have Hopkins. I want to get that number one guy for Justin Fields. And even if Hopkins isn't going to be here for 6-7 years, if you can have him for even 2, 3, 4 years and him be a number one, at least in the short term, I think that really helps Justin Fields take the necessary next steps. All right, pick a wide receiver. Who would you rather have? Cooks would probably not cost as much in a trade, but their cap hits are pretty similar. Type DH for DeAndre Hopkins, BC for Brandin Cooks. Let me know which receiver you would rather target. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. We will potentially be back later today with another episode of Chicago Bears Now, so stay tuned. If not, we'll for sure have another video tomorrow, but trying to have some days where we publish multiple videos, so be on the lookout for that. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon here on the channel.